Hey, I forgot to tell you guys, I got a call, and this was yesterday. I was giving you a full recap. For any of you loyal listeners of the show, but I was giving you a full recap because I ended up in a dust-up with Islam. And it wasn't completely a dust-up that I wanted to be in because I felt that I was being misquoted. And I saw the quote myself, and I was even asked about it on ESPN by Daniel Cormier. It was about me calling Islam a coward. And I just want to use that word. I don't think Islam is a coward. But sometimes the camera's going and you say something and you got to go back. Did I say that? Let me explain what I meant. But I didn't think that had happened. And I went back and watched it. It is a little bit of a semantical game. I had described a scenario, and it's the very scenario that Islam is in, and I described the scenario to represent cowardice. So you take that how you want. That's probably me weaseling out and trying to say I didn't call him, but I was kind of just trying to describe a scenario. And there is a difference. There is a difference to talk about what you see as opposed to a personal attack. There is a difference. And Islam has been a very nice guy to me. But either way, this gets picked up. It gets picked up by ESPN. It gets picked up by MMA Uncensored. This is going around Twitter. I get a phone call from Ali. Now, I've known Ali since 2001. Business together, friends, social, but it puts him in a hard spot. He represents Islam. That is his guy. He is his manager. He has a job to represent his client. And one of those things is to represent from a PR perspective how people like me are discussing his client. What's up, Rachel? I was getting a cameo. I was getting a cameo from this hot Australian girl. She's gone now. So when this happens, though, Ali's got to call me and go, hey, this isn't what happened. Islam did not run from Ilia Topuria. Islam had already, and see, it's all the timeline. It's all a timeline. If Islam's decision to go to 170 was made prior to him being offered Ilia Topuria, that's all you would need to know. If you're in front of a jury and your peers, particularly 10 years from now, looking back at how people like me are going to write and publicize this story, it all comes down to that detail. Was Islam presented an offer, an ask, a request by the UFC? Was he presented a fight with Ilia Topuria for the World Championship that he was set to defend? Or did he put in his own request to move up to 170, which came first? And it does matter. It does matter. But I'm sharing with you when I get this call from Ali, I'm not armed with that information. And so on the call, we're getting this straightened out. And then Ali drops a little nugget for me. This is what I forgot to tell you guys. So Ali, by the way, I would assume that you know who Ali is. I don't think that you know any manager anywhere in boxing or MMA except him. There is no manager that ends up on TMZ except for him. There is no manager that goes and has social media and gets everything from fights to guests on Errol Hawani's program except for him. He is a one-of-a-kind success in the sport, but I need you to understand that because he represents a massive who's who, including Justin Gaethje. Now, Justin Gaethje has been a problematic wild card. And the reason he's a problem is when you are a star, when you can draw big money, which moves you to the top of a card, which moves you into co-main and main event status, which is very different. You guys hear about undercards and then you hear about main cards. The main card is actually broken down into 2 cards. The recipe and the built-in fixtures from a marketing, a PR, and a budgetary standpoint will specifically go to a co-main event and main event, regardless of who that is. Whoever gets those spots. The billboards, the magazines, the radio interviews, just the pure opportunities. It is not equal for all of main card. You'll have your first 3 fights. You will then have a separate plan and budget for co-main and main event. Very relevant. So when you're one of those guys, there are times that your popularity outgrow your skill set, right? We don't get better at this sport by doing this sport. But then sometimes you have a guy like Justin Gaethje who can hold it, who can be the best guy in the world, and he can hold it. I mean, Justin Gaethje has held on to this baton probably 3 years longer than I would have guessed. The way that he fights, the way that he came in, you go all the way to his first night against Michael Johnson, the way that he fights with that aggression is not built for longevity. Justin Gaethje is a very special success. However, we still don't know. He's got a popularity that's going to draw, that's going to push, that's going to make money, that's going to have big paychecks, but we still got to know where his skills are. And when you're coming off of 2 title fights, and he fought Poirier for the belt. Then he goes and fights Max for the belt. So you get mixed results, but you don't quite know where a guy's at. Right? A guy gets to jump on Poirier. Was that a good night? Was that a lucky shot? Those questions are asked. The guy goes the other way against Max, but it's Max. Everybody gets beat up by Max. So where's the guy at? And that's where, on occasion, you will get the call, and it's the call that no fighter wants. It's the opponent that every fighter wants to avoid, which is a hard fight that doesn't have as big of a name as you. And that's the test. When that call comes, that's when the UFC is taking notes. Do we have our guy or not? And when you get a call, when you're Justin Gaethje spot and you get a call to fight Fedzayev in a rematch on short notice, when you get a call like that, not to mention the style and just how dangerous of a fight is, when you get a call like that, that's where you start to realize, okay, the company that I'm with, the promotion, is willing to go in either direction. They're willing to back me, but they're also willing to back him. And this is where 99% of your heroes all of a sudden come up with an injury. 99% of everything's great and the money's good and they're happy to talk to you and how you doing, Dan, and everything's cool in the gang, and then you get the name presented to you, and you know what? I just got this nagging injury, and that date's just not going to work out. This is how this goes. Justin Gaethje said yes. And not only did he say yes, he put on one of the best fights he's put on in a couple of years, quite frankly. Justin Gaethje looked better against Fedzayev than he did the night he won the belt against Poirier. I stand by that statement. Now, the reason I tell you that, when you're in that position of popularity, and when you're in that position of draw and card placement and money, when you get that call that nobody wants, you only get it once. And I can go through the greats. I can go through the night that Daniel Cormier got that call to take on a guy who had never been in the UFC. That win drew Daniel into a world title fight. You have all these guys that sit around and they try to tell you what makes sense. And this guy's ranked here, so fighting him, that'll get me closer to a title. Daniel fought a guy that was not even under contract. He had no ranking. That was the win because of the circumstance that drew him into a world title fight. Just for example, Dan Henderson, one of my personal idols, got the call. He got the same call. It was the opposite Husamar Palhares. I mean, I can go through them over time. You get that, you go, what? Dan Henderson and Paul Harris? How are we going to make a poster of that? You got a star versus a guy that's got a couple of heel hooks, but this is how this was looked at. I'm sharing for you. And Justin Gaethje got that call, and he answered it, and he succeeded. So that's where he becomes a problem, because when he starts saying things like he's saying, and like Ali shared with me, it's very hard to tell him no. And with Justin Gaethje, here's my big reveal. Are you ready? Here's my big reveal. While you stuck around for 10 minutes and 35 seconds, Justin Gaethje is not going to take a fight. He has declared himself #1 contender. He has agreed to allow Charles and Ilya to handle their business, and he will wait for the winner. Now, I understand he doesn't have the power to make that happen. But given the circumstance that he's in, for the rule and the policy with the manager that he has, he is far more likely to get that than not. So, according to Ali, according to Justin Gaethje, Justin's next fight will be for the championship. He is the #1 contender. He is willing to be the backup athlete, and he will see our new lightweight champion once they get it resolved.